This video may contain explicit language. If you are not 18, then this content ain't for you. But if you are 18, then stick around and enjoy the show, because nothing can offend you because you're of age. All right, everybody, we're back with an all new episode of Opinions and Thoughts, and we're talking about Daryl Dixon Season 2, The Book of Carol, the full season. Every episode, because I've already seen them all. There's probably a lot of you out there that haven't seen all the episodes, or maybe you haven't seen the finale yet. Well, you're in luck, because I'm not going to give you a lot of spoilers. I might not give you none at all, just so people can get caught up on it, you know, of what they haven't seen. So, but I'm basically, like I said, the title of this video is Opinions and Thoughts. I'm going to give you my overall opinions and thoughts about the whole season. I'm not going to really get into, the plot or anything like that. I may touch a little bit on certain things, but I'm not going to. This is not a spoiler review where I just kill every episode and be like, this is what happens. No, this is just opinions and thoughts. This is just my opinions and thoughts on the full season as it is. And we head into season 3, because they have announced that there is going to be a season 3 in Spain. So we'll see what lies there for Daryl and Carol and the rest of our survivors that have survived season 2. Starting off with my initial opinions about the whole season in general, the Daryl Dixon show is quite different than your original Walking Dead series. I guess mostly because it's overseas. It's got a different environment, a different vibe, and plus you get a little touch of backstory of what happened overseas. Was it with France and stuff like that? You get a touch on how the virus and stuff and the zombie apocalypse started over there, because in the original Walking Dead, we pretty much know, we know the full rip what happened in the United States, but we never got to see what actually happened, worldwide. We had no clue. The spinoff World Beyond touched on it maybe a little bit, but they mainly focused on in that show was the group, the CRM, and how crooked and behind the scenes, chaotic they was, and the savagery they was actually doing. And plus they actually touched on a little bit of the experimenting with the humans and stuff like that. And that's what Daryl Dixon spinoff for The Walking Dead touches on. It touches on more of the experimenting with zombies, trying to create this super zombie, basically, and basically use them as a what I consider a bioweapon, and that's basically what it touches on. And it also has its aspects to the original Walking Dead, because we have Daryl Dixon. He's from the original lineup, the original series, and he just happens to get mixed up and placed in this scenario because he's one of our main protagonists from the original show. Each spinoff touches on one of our main protagonists, like, Rick Grimes spinoff focused on him and Michonne, and her hunt to find him. you know, and then now we have Carol in the mix. We know that Daryl and Carol got this bond, this friendship. It's not really a love, a love friendship is more. It's a friend. They've been together. They've been through the shit storms. They've had their differences. It's like brother and sister. Or our friend fighting. And stuff like that. So, but you got to look at it. You got to break it down for the background, though. I mean, if you pay really attention, you'll know that Daryl Dixon, the way he explains himself, before the apocalypse and stuff like, he came from you know, a rough upbringing, being abused and stuff like that. But and then you look at Carol, she had an abusive husband, very controlling, um, and stuff like that. So they share similar aspects of life, both coming up from abuse, and probably some, you know, mental issues, manipulation, and stuff like that. With Daryl, it was, I guess more of his father, and also his brother Merle. You know, even though Merle tried to play it off as tough love, I'm trying to toughen you up, little brother type shit. He was really mentally abusing him too. So, and then we got Carol was more, it was physical abuse, verbal, and also mentally. So she was getting all aspects of abuse, and stuff like that. So they share similar paths, through this show. But but to explain Daryl a little bit more, there are times that Daryl feels like he's, I guess, how could I say it, not appreciated enough. I guess, people, I guess he feels like, you know he's not appreciated enough or something like that. It's like you pretty much got to show him. So if you notice that Daryl likes to take off, he likes to be by, he likes to have his me time. He likes to take off, and he'll take off for long periods of time. Just live out in the woods. He'll live off the land because that he's, to me, he's like old country boy from back, back in the day. He'd live off the land or whatever, do his own thing. But he also cares for people. It's almost like he has to get away. He has to have that getaway. But he always comes back because it's almost like he misses them. He worries about them, just like in this new season of the Daryl Dixon show. He mentions in one episode. He says he wonders if they miss him. He wonders if they even know he's gone. He just he misses them, but he's Daryl. He likes to take off and do his own thing. Uh, and now that he's been gone for so long, because he got in contact with Carol on the radio, letting her know that give him a week, he'll be back. Well, a week's come and gone, and still no show. So she is worried about him. That being, that's her friend. They share that bond. Daryl never showed up. So that automatically put a sense in Carol's head that, hey, something is wrong. He did not show up. I'm going to go looking for him. I've got to figure out the reason why he hasn't showed up. Is he dead? Is something happened to him? Am I going to have to, basically, they got to find him. So she took off to find Daryl, and what better person to find Daryl is Carol. You know, but to basically sum up this for my opinions, the show is good. It's different, and that's what I like. It's different. I like the way they put these main protagonists in different situations because we get to see our main stars and our main characters in different places, in different situations, instead of the same type of deal. We get to see them in different areas, knowing that the whole world's got this problem. But there's always a big bad in The Walking Dead's. Like every season has its villain. Maybe a villain could carry on for a couple seasons, but you all know it's about fight for survival. It's survival of the fittest. You know, it's basically trying to build this new world and your main goal is to try to keep everybody alive. It's like you're a big family. You want to try to keep your family alive until that's the way it is. And this, and Daryl comes from this group that he's been accepted. You've got peoples from all different walks of life, like Rick, Daryl, Michonne. They probably never crossed paths, on the street. They didn't know each other from Adam and Eve. They didn't know nothing about each other, had never met each other, nothing like that. But it's amazing how all these different people with these different paths in life come together and form this big family, and that's basically like Daryl's in France. He come across a group that has pretty much he's he has accepted and he's made new friends basically as he's been over there. He's made new friends, and Daryl's a very caring guy, and he's going to want to try to keep his people that he's cool with alive as much as possible. And Daryl has a soft heart for kids, like he does with Judith, because he's been there since day one. Um, Even though Daryl's that tough guy, he doesn't really uh, show his emotions very much, but he does in some parts. But but he's got he's that tough aspect. He would be somebody. If you were trapped in a situation, he would be the person you would want to be with to try to get you there, because he's not going to leave you behind, and going to be he's going to fight back to back with you regardless. He has made some rough decisions. Hell, they've all made bad decisions, including Rick Grimes. And his major fault was he jumped the gun too damn much without thinking things out. He took your word for it, and just rushed into things, and it turned around and bit him in the ass. But that's my only problem with Rick. Is he likes to not think about things and just right jump right into it. He gets cocky. It's like, all right, we can hell with it. We've never had problem with confrontation. Da, da, da. Well, do your homework first, though, Rick. Figure out what you're going up against before you go in there half cocked, and think you could just whip ass. You might be getting your ass whipped in the end. But anyways, we ain't on Rick Grimes. We're on Daryl Dixon. Daryl Dixon has seen his final share of shit with Negan. The way Negan tortured him, in the holding cell, feeding him dog food sandwiches. I always called them shit sandwiches, because you might as well have fed that man just shit, because that's pretty much what it looked like. The way they did him, tortured him, but he held his composure, as much as possible. He broke him down. That's basically Negan's way of trying to break him down. And he did. Daryl had an emotional moment in that dark dark cell, and yeah, he finally broke all the way down. But anyways, he finds this new group. There's a bunch of nuns. They got this little boy. His name is Laron. They're claiming this little boy is almost godlike. It's like, because as you watch the show, you find out that the little boy's mother, was bit while she was pregnant, and he come out and wasn't nothing wrong with him. There was no turning, there was no infection, virus, trans, all that. So they're thinking they're looking at this boy Laron like he's the Messiah. You know, he's going to be something great. Uh, but he's really, to be honest with you, he's really just a normal boy. There's really, no godlike complex with him. He's just normal. He's incredibly smart. Uh, so yeah, of course, Daryl Dixon's going to get attached to him, like like Judith, and he's going to want to keep him alive. And as we cruise through the season, he invites one of the nuns that he meets is a girl named Isabel, which come from a party past and stuff like that. She had you know, and they actually, her and Daryl actually become so close that it starts to get romantic, and he starts to have feelings for her, which Daryl has had feelings for for others before, but it just seems like every time Daryl gets close to someone, they're just, something happens, they get killed, and that is really no difference with him being in France, getting real close to this Isabel. Like I said, you could pretty much say I gave you a spoiler there. You know what's going to happen. But if you haven't seen it, please check it out. I'm trying not to ruin it for you. But Daryl does give an invitation for LaRon and Isabel to come back to the States, because we got to remember Daryl is still wanting to go back home. But it's almost like his obligation is to keep these people safe. So that's what keeps him there. That's what keeps him there at the moment. But Carol is on her way. She's got to do what she's got to do to get to where Daryl is at. She finds out where Daryl's at because she goes to the place where Daryl stopped in season 1. It's almost like a place where they're fixing cars. They do jobs. They got a little setup there, and he helped them round up some zombies to ship overseas for them to do experiments on, to try to create this super zombie, this what they call bio weapon, from this main villain protagonist named Madame Genet. Which, a little backstory on Madame Genet is she was basically a waitress, and you'll see that in season 2. There was nothing really, special about her. She was just a waitress, and stuff like that. And of course, she witnessed one of her a loved one killed right in front of her, not even probably 3 feet. So that probably made her turn evil. It doesn't really touch on how she became the leader of this group that she's got, but it don't really touch on it. So maybe I might have to go back and rewatch an episode or two, especially the one with her backstory, to see if it really touches on it. But from what I've seen, it really don't. It just gives what she was before everything went down. And of course, Carol runs into a guy held up in So do they finally get that spark? Are you talking about Daryl and Isabel? Yeah, let me know. I might fill you in. Uh, oh, you talking about Daryl and Carol? Are you talking more of a? Are you wanting to know if they have a romantic spark, or is it just more of a? Because, like I stated, yeah, Isabella died. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I went ahead and said it. Yeah, she does die. Well, you can figure that out. Daryl and Carol, is still what they call best friends. Uh, Carol does ask Daryl if he loves Isabel or whatever. I just think, like she states or they do state in the season that maybe he's afraid to tell her. He's afraid to, what is it, commit or something like that. Yeah, but as far as Daryl and Carol, they're the way that friendship is, I don't think it's anything romantic at all. I think just best friends. They know each other real well, like I was stating. They've been through hell's flames together. The shit storm. They've been in and out of it. They know each other real well because they've been around each other from day one. Does Ash get them out of there? I was just getting ready to talk about Ash. Carol meets a guy named Ash. She sees that he has a plane, but beforehand, she finds out that Daryl got on a boat and was headed to France with a guy that worked at the bike place. Carol and Ash have similarities, and here's the reason why. Carol is still suffering from PTSD of her daughter, of seeing her in zombie form coming out of the barn in season, what was it? It season 3 of The Walking Dead, Kate, when Rick shot when Shane let them all out of the barn. What was it? Yeah, was it? I believe it was season 3, wasn't it? Or was it the end of season 2? I can't. I'm not for sure, but yeah, when they found out they was all in the barn, and come to find out Sophia was also turned in the barn too. He said, "Yeah, I want them to have a romance." I don't think they're ever going to give us a romance between Daryl and Carol. I've often thought that myself, but I don't. The way they keep doing it, it just doesn't seem like it's going to go that way. Yeah, he was mad that Carol lied about stuff. Oh yeah, Ash. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, so Carol had to tell a lie, to Ash to get him to take her over there. I mean, you gotta remember that Carol's got to do what she's going to do to get to where. Yeah, she's not afraid to tell a lie. But you got to look at it though. Carol also kind of lied to Daryl when she got over there because he did ask. You said somebody came back. Who came back? And that's when she stated it wasn't a someone. It was a something. Kara was keeping that Rick secret from Daryl, and I'm glad they're doing that because it'll make the reuniting much better when it happens. Because I can't wait to see Daryl reunited with Rick. It's it's going to be epic. It's going to be epic. Especially when they all show up. But as far as LaRon or Ash or whatever, uh, I'm skipping around. I'm skipping around a lot because I don't want to spoil a lot in case you haven't seen all of it. Uh, the place where Daryl takes LaRon at the end of season 1, come to find out, I mean, looks can be deceiving, and of course, Madame Genet does die. Um, and so that's putting her little right hand woman in charge, and she's going to let the head of the monastery that Daryl was at. He's becoming to be a big bad. So I wonder why Carol didn't tell Daryl that Rick was alive. That I wonder that myself. Why didn't she just say it? Because we know that Rick is there. Because the Daryl Dixon in the Rick show is around the same period. They're right there neck and neck with each other. So Rick is there. He's wherever. She knows that Rick is back. You can guarantee it. She's probably seen him, talked to him. We all know that Michonne is not letting Rick outside them walls. He's done disappeared once, and she's got that man on lockdown. And if he does go outside, you best believe she's attached to the hip. He even asked her what she meant by what she said. Yeah, I know it. He asked her, and she kept beating around the bush. She's not giving it out. I don't know what's to come of this series because, like I said, season 3 they're going to Spain. I've seen photos of season 3. It looks like Daryl's in the desert. He's going to run in. I've heard he's going to run into this new group. I don't know how long it's going to. I don't know how far they're going to travel to get to the United States. I don't know what all places they're going to go to. But I have a speculation that we're talking about Ash. I'll just go ahead and say this. Not everybody could make it back in the plane, and we know this because there wouldn't be a season 3 coming if Carol and Daryl would have left in the plane. So obviously Carol and Daryl are still where they're at, and not everybody that Daryl wanted to bring back with him could fit in the plane. It was maximum capacity, and it wouldn't even get off ground. It could only hold so many people. So Ash was told to take LaRon back to the Commonwealth. Basically, I'm pretty sure that's probably where Rick is at. Rick and Michonne are probably there. So I'm sure LaRon is going to tell everybody about Daryl and how he met Carol. And what's to say that Rick is now the head of the CRM military? He is the boss, the head honcho, cock of the walk. He's commander in chief now. He could possibly get in the chopper, load up some people, or get a couple choppers flying that direction to pick up Daryl and Carol, and possibly any survivors that Daryl's got with him, and bring his brother home with Carol. That's a possibility. I'm not saying that's how it's going to go, but that is a real good speculation on what could happen because Rick could do that. What happened to LaRon? Ash took him in the airplane back to the United States. Katie, I didn't think the CRM existed anymore. Well, Major General Bill don't exist anymore. But with him gone, and the people that Rick wiped out, just that area that he wiped out, Rick still has access to all their supplies, all the army stuff. He only wiped out the what was it, the stadium or whatever. And when he did that, took out Major General Bill and Jadis and all them, Rick is now the one they're gonna look to, because if you notice at the end of The Ones Who Live, you've seen the choppers with the with the food and stuff flying over Rick. You know, they were dropping supplies to people. You know that were so Rick is supplying now. He's the stuff. And she said, "Okay, I guess I'm okay with Ash taking it back." Yeah, but you got to look at it though. Ash is probably still pissed that Carol lied to him. You can guarantee, you know, there's still some, uh, there's still some hurt there. I mean, me honestly, if I was Carol, I would have just told him the straight up truth. The worst thing that would have happened out of that is he could have either told her yay or nay. But I understand how Carol is, you know, because that also goes back to the original series. Remember when Carol burnt the bodies at the prison? She set the bodies on fire, and then they finally figured out who did it. It was Carol. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe she even lied to Rick at first. So, so Carol's going to tell a lie if she has to, you know. Yeah, he was pissed. Yeah, that's right. Rick Bannister. He took her all the way to that neighborhood. Yeah, he let her go, but she came back. You know, Carol. She came back when it. You know, around the terminus time. Yeah, she had to save him. You know, but I heard a little ditty today about Carol in The Walking Dead. Did you know? Now I heard this from the writers and producers of the original Walking Dead. Did you know that Carol was supposed to die in season 4 of the original Walking Dead? She wasn't supposed to make it this far. That's right. She saved them at Terminus. Sent that. I'm wanting to say it was almost like a firework type of deal. Yeah, I know it. Yeah. She wasn't supposed to make it past season 4. She was supposed to die. So that's crazy. But I'm glad they kept her along because Carol, you know, is turned out to be a badass. I mean, look what she did to the Saviors on the road. She played like she was hyperventilating in that room. You know, having a panic attack. You know, Carol can act. She can put on a show, but she is a savage. Don't and the wolves. Her putting the bandana on and putting the W on her forehead. Carol is a beast. She's something you don't want to underestimate. She is good to have around. You're right. The first seasons were the best. I know. I love going back and rewatching the first few seasons. I'm really not a big fan of season. I'm not a big fan of the governor. Any that time period with the governor, I'm not a big fan of it at all. I don't know. It's just something about it. I wasn't feeling it. You know, I really started getting back into it after after they killed the governor and they all got split up at the prison. And I mean, that's when you seen Rick in true savage mode. I mean, ripping people's necks, biting their necks out. I mean, he got the shit beat out of him. Don't get me wrong, but that's when I really started getting into it again. You know, and when they ran into Father Gabriel and the Terminus, and all the way up until they get to Alexandria, and I even love the time period in Alexandria because I understand Rick's point of view. Y'all have been behind walls. You haven't seen what's out there. You haven't faced. You haven't lived outside these walls. You have no clue of nothing. Yeah, Andrea, but yet Michonne. But in the comic book, Kate, Rick and Andrea was the couple. That's who Rick got with in the comic book. Uh, Michonne in the comic book ended up with King Ezekiel, but in the show, Carol was with Ezekiel, and Rick just and he ended up with Michonne. It's crazy, You got to change it up for TV. I understand that, and the comic book a little bit different. Yep, it is. It's true. And Daryl Dixon was not a character in the comic book. Not one. Not one. There was no Daryl Dixon in the comic book. And Carol does die in the comic book. I believe. I could be wrong. So don't take it to heart, but I do believe she doesn't make it. Yeah, I don't know. The governor, I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. Yeah, because I've listened to the what they call the live action read along with the comic, and the whole Negan story in the comic book is totally different. See, in the comic book, Negan was supposed to escape while they was having their big festival, but in the TV show, the Whispers, that was during the Whisper arc. Well, Rick was supposed to still, if it was the comic book, Rick would have still been around to meet Alpha and Beta and all of them. But in the TV show, Rick was gone for 10 years doing his Rambo thing, and and Negan is basically still around. But I see what, like I said, you got to do what you got to do to keep the Walking Dead universe going. But how far can they actually go with it? There's going to be a point where they're just pulling shit out of their ass, and it's going to get. There's a lot of people that's already said it's gone on for too long. It should have ended a long time ago, but it's a money maker, and with money makers, you stretch and stretch until you can't stretch no more, and things happen. You go until you exhaust it, basically, until people's like, "Oh God, it's just another Walking Dead show. I'm not interested. I just, that's pretty much what it's going to be. It's going to keep going to the point people just don't care." Yeah, I'm okay. I'm like you. I'm okay with the spinoffs. I like the Rick spinoff, like the first few episodes. I think the finale they rushed. I think they went a little above and beyond with it. When it first started, it was great. The first episode was wonderful. The first the first 4 or 5 was great. It's just the last two was just kind of rushed. I mean, with Daryl Dixon, it doesn't feel rushed because they are adding another season to it. I believe they're actually trying to take their time, I guess, unless they just finally run out of ideas. And with Negan and Maggie, I never expected any of that to happen. With them two, not after the lineup and everything. I just I like that show too. I kind of it's just I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna have to see this new season to see if it's even worth continuing it. But LaRon is on his way back with Ash, and we know off screen they're going to be at the Commonwealth. They're going to do some dialogue. We don't know what's going to happen until we actually get further into the show, or if we'll ever see Ash again. I believe we will. I don't think that character is just going to come and go that quick. And as far as LaRon, I believe he'll probably take to Judith and RJ and stuff like that. I believe he'll like where he's going. Oh yeah, yeah, they're good. I mean, they're great characters. Great characters. And it's and me watching the show, I get invested into certain characters, and it's almost like it kind of hurts me when they kill off a favorite character. One of my favorites was Abraham. I never expected them to kill Abraham off. I just like what he was talking about. I like the way he said things. He kept it kind of not really comedy, but he had some good punchlines. I liked Abraham. It kind of killed me when they took him off like that. I thought maybe when they killed him, I was like, okay, you reversed it from the comic. You killed Abraham. You're gonna keep Glenn alive? Well, of course not. Boom! There goes Glenn too. Y'all just doubled up. Y'all went a whole new direction with it. Said hell with just killing one. We're gonna kill a couple. It's like, and I liked Glenn because you had been with Glenn from ever since Rick made it to Atlanta. Glenn's got Rick out of the hot shit. So I liked Glenn. I liked as he matured on. He was something not to mess with either. One of your favorites was Herschel. I liked Herschel, and and I'm going to get into Herschel. Here's the reason why I liked Herschel. Yeah, he was tough to get into in the beginning because he had his mindset that they still had souls inside their body. Yeah, yeah. It took him a coming around, but here's the reason why I liked Herschel. I liked Herschel because when Rick wouldn't think about anything, like I explained earlier, Rick liked to jump the gun. He never stopped and thought about anything. He always ran into situations half cocked, like with the Saviors and talking to the head of the Hilltop, Gregory. Being real cocky, Rick Grimes, but we've never had, a problem with confrontation. All right. You're thinking you're just getting ready to go up against 10 or 15 people. You didn't actually do your homework, figure out who these saviors are. He should have got with Jesus and they could have, figured out something. And I liked Jesus as a character. He was a badass too. Um, yeah, Glenn was the first one he met. That's right. I liked Herschel because, and I'll get to Glenn here in a second. But here's my main reason I liked Herschel. Herschel was there to help Rick. He was like his voice. When Rick had to sit down with the governor, Herschel was there. When Rick was going through something, Herschel was somebody to talk to. Herschel could, help Rick, with his and when Lori died and he was hallucinating and getting the fake phone calls and seeing her walking around, Herschel was there. Herschel was there to bring him back, to get him back on track. But with Herschel gone, it's almost like Rick didn't have that no more, so he was jumping the gun. Even though he had Daryl, he had Michonne, but Rick was hard headed, stubborn, wouldn't listen. So that cost people's lives. Glenn's, and basically Abraham, all the people that was lost. Maggie's sister? I liked her as a character. I wanted her and Daryl to get together. Not to knock off your Carol and Daryl thing, Kate, but I wanted Maggie's sister and Daryl to get together because I seen the chemistry they had when it was just them two, and he was teaching her how to kill walkers and stuff like that. And I'll be honest with you, I actually cried when he was carrying her out of the hospital when she died, and Daryl was carrying her out. And, Maggie broke down in the parking lot. I broke down too. That was an emotional scene of the whole thing. It was the impact. Yeah, they understood each other. Yeah, it was just insane. A grown ass man, 40 years old, crying over a TV show. Well, it's not just a TV show. It's because like I said, I was invested in characters, and it's just I understood. Yeah, I like that scene too, man. It was Daryl carrying her out, and he was crying too. I couldn't have done something like that. I would have went ape shit. As soon as I would have seen her drop in that hospital hallway, I would have went monkey ham on that hallway, unloaded. I don't care if I died in the process. I would have lit that hallway up. Yeah, that was a good season. That was season. Was it? See, the last part, was it the last part of season 4 or early season 5, I believe. Yeah, him and Beth at the cabin drinking. That's right, drinking moonshine. They had the 2-liter Coca-Cola. What was that? What was that one thing he opened up? What was it? Was it pig feet or something? Didn't they find a big old thing of pig feet in the cabin or something like that? Or something. Yeah, he just reached in there and grabbed. That's when they was in that house and outside at the cemetery. And that was actually a callback to George Romero's original Night of the Living Dead, when Beth and Daryl was in the house with the cemetery. I think it was right out front. Pats for Pets, how you doing? Thanks for coming in. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I believe that was a shout out to George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. Because the makeup designer for that show, Greg Nicotero, has been in horror movies out the ass. He was George Romero's the original Night of the Living Dead. Oh my God, he even did some of the makeup for, I believe, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Oh man, Mountain of Movie. I can't even think of them all. It's just a mountain of shows. He's been around. He's been around the scene, and he's one of the best. That and Tom Savini that did the makeup for Jason and Friday the 13th, and stuff like that. And he also did makeup for our special effects for Dawn of the Dead and stuff like that. Yeah, Tom Savini, Greg Nicotero, uh, the great special effects artist. Yeah, the effects were awesome. Awesome. Yeah, the way he made these zombies look with the makeup and the decaying flesh, man. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing what they can do with the the prosthetics and stuff like that, and how sick they look. Rick Baker is also made. Rick Baker. That's What movies did he work on? I've heard that name, but I can't think of the of any movies he actually. No, I can't think of any offhand. But yeah, season 2 of Daryl and Carol, they're reunited. That's all there is to it. We'll just go ahead and say that she found Daryl. Now the main objective is getting back home. Oh, American Werewolf in London, beautiful movie. I love it. One of my favorites. One of my favorites. I like it. That's right, y'all. Michael Jackson Thriller. Yeah, that's right. That's right. My daughter's a big Michael Jackson fan. I was too when I was younger. I like Mike. He was one of a kind. I mean, you get no. It's just amazing talent. Amazing talent. And some of his music is timeless. Is timeless. See, I don't look at the negativity, with all the allegations or whatever. I look at the music. If you've got good music, that's what it is. It's going to be good music. I don't, I'm not here to judge people or what they do behind the scenes. It's all about the music for me. The man made great music, and if I hear one of his songs, despite all the bullshit in the end, I'm going to jam it. I don't care. I don't care what people think about them, or the artists themselves. I'm there for the music. Yeah, American Werewolf in London was great. Was great. I watch it all. I haven't watched it in a while, but I do get around. I do get around to seeing it when I can catch it. But other than that, what more can I say about Daryl Dixon season 2 without giving you a rundown of episode by episode? Like I said, this is just my opinions and thought. I thought episode 2 was good. I'm interested in seeing where they go in episode 3. I'm glad that we've got uh, two protagonists together that are great together with Daryl and Carol. Uh, and we're all waiting for the big reunite with Daryl making it back home and walking up to the gates of the Commonwealth and being greeted by hopefully Rick or uh, King Ezekiel or whoever is still alive. I believe Father Gabriel's still alive, so it might be him. And of course Judith, RJ, Daryl coming back, and him seeing Laurent probably there too, and hopefully Ash will be there. Hopefully. But other than that, that is my opinions and thoughts. I like the episode. I'm gonna give it about on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm gonna give season 2. Oh, maybe a 6, about a 6, 7. I'm gonna go with at least a 7. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7. I just hope they can keep the story with Daryl and Carol interesting for season 3 and not get so overboard and try not to do shitty writing and rush jobs with the episodes, because that's what ruins the show real quick is when you just rush to get to where you want to go. And that's what they did with Fear the Walking Dead in the last season. Those last few episodes, they didn't need it. Could have ended it with Morgan on the walkie-talkie doing the same thing that Rick did in season 1, I believe, when he said, "I'll leave this frequency open. I'll check it every day at noon." That's what Morgan did, letting it know that he is on his way to look for Rick, and he's got the little girl with him. Great Grace's little girl. I didn't forget her name, but I hope that Morgan comes back around and can also be reunited with Rick, because I would love to see that reunited again. And Morgan actually telling Rick, "Should have listened to you." But I understood where Morgan's head was at. He had to get away. But yeah, I give it a 7. Daryl Dixon season 2 is out. The full season is out for streaming right now on AMC Plus, and possibly if you got cable or anything like that, they probably got every episode out right now. Check it out, watch it to your heart's content, and get ready for some more Walking Dead with Negan and Maggie coming in 2025, early 2025, I believe, with Dead City, and we'll see what these two crazy individuals are getting ready to do in New York City. And who knows what's going to go after that. But other than that, that's my opinions and thoughts about Daryl Dixon season 2, The Book of Carol. And that's it for me, people. I will check back in later this week. I'll probably do a Q&A, not talking about any movies, just anything you want to talk about. I'll post it on my community page when I decide to do it. We'll just sit around and we'll bullshit. We'll talk about anything and anybody. Who cares, right? Freedom of speech. It's our opinion. We do what we want. It's okay. Okay. Stay tuned for that. And I'll catch y'all on the next one. Everybody have a good night. Stay blessed. Stay blessed, people. Thanksgiving is on the way. And thanks for everybody that stopped in, Pass for Pets. Kate, you're always welcome. It's always great having you. I'll see you around.